Are you ready to meet one of the best architects in Colorado Springs and also find out what he's working on with our affordable housing issue? Hi, this is Jason Daniels with Finch & Gable Real Estate, and today we have an amazing guest here, Larry Gilland with LGA Studios. And so we're just going to have a conversation. You can learn more about him. He's been in the business, he'll tell you, 40 plus years. And over the past decade or so, I've known Larry, and we've worked with mutual clients, probably 4 or 5 over the years. And so I really wanted to get you all out there that are watching these videos an introduction to Larry if you haven't met him or understand custom homes and how that works with an architect. So Larry, thanks for meeting with us today. We're excited to be here in your studio. Tell us a little bit about what got you into architecture?
Well, I think that what really got me into architecture was my mom was a realtor way back when, back in the 70s.
Oh, real estate.
And even kind of before that, I would always go to the Parade of Homes every year. And it was just kind of a special highlight that I'd go and see housing. So I've always loved just doing residential design, has been kind of the passion. So as we would go to the Parade of Homes, I would go in every year and take a look and walk through all the models, and I'd remember them. And so in 6th grade, my teacher did a little educational thing to say, okay, everybody's going to draw a floor plan and an elevation for a house that you would like to do. And so I did. And I just loved that. I won the contest for the kids in the school and what the teacher was teaching, and I've just continued to pursue that all the way through.
Wow.
So,
do you remember the 6th grade teacher's name?
It was Rasmussen. Can't remember his first name, but he was really a good, influential teacher to me. And he taught us a lot of things, a variety of things, all the way through our 6th grade, which really kind of prepped me for a lot of other things in education, but he just gave us the opportunity. And I think that's probably the big key thing, was just having the opportunity to try and do new things. And so where I started with what I saw from what Mom did and what she was showing me, I went off to school to learn architecture. And partway through the time that I was in school, I was hired by a local firm. And I was started in the office, and literally when you come out of school, they teach you a lot of different things that go on in school, the principles, scale, lettering back at the time. Not a lot of people can actually do the lettering anymore. But I learned a lot of those principles. So when they hired me, it was because I had a good hand at drafting of what I could do. But I honestly didn't know a lot about all the structures and everything else. And I was a quick learner. So I was hired at, I think I was 19 years old. At 21, I was running the office. I was actually there and managing the other drafters that were in the staff. I was designing houses. And I had a really good mentor that I was working under. And he taught me things like codes and structures and a lot of things like that. So I learned far more than I ever learned in school just through the office. And from that office, I had some other opportunities to actually get out and work in the field. I actually worked for a construction company that was a pretty big builder here in town for a long period of time. And we did all the custom design work for them. We did their production housing. And then I got to go out and work with the people in the field, which gave me the other advantage, which was I actually worked with the framers. I'd help them frame the house, or the guy that was driving the loader, he taught me how to drive the loader. So just about everybody's aspect of the job I learned how to do, but I didn't really like it. I wanted to stay back in the office.
Yeah, well,
that was too hard to work.
I think that's what makes the difference between an expert architect and someone that hasn't been out in the field. I had my background, I started out in civil engineering, and then I ended up getting a degree in construction management, and a lot of the programs have shifted to internships, but being a project engineer and a project manager, I can tell when an architect's been in the field and when they haven't.
Yeah.
And it just goes a lot smoother. And so I can imagine just from starting a design concept from the beginning, it just is a lot easier. And I think that's why a lot of builders here in town enjoy working with Larry, because he's easy to work with. His designs are beautiful and practical to build. So that's a key difference that I wanted to point out to him.
Well, thanks, Jason. Yeah, we do get a lot of comments from a lot of our builder clients and a lot of subcontractors. We'll even be out on, if we've got to come out to a job site for something or another, sometimes we'll come out to the job site. They haven't seen us on that site because it might be the first time, and the framer might have some questions. And as soon as I come out and we say who we are, they say, oh, okay, you're the guy that's doing this. That's great. We love that. We love your plans. Everything is coming together. So that has been a good compliment. And I have to give that compliment really to a lot of my team members and my staff because they are super talented. They're a great group of folks that really take care of things. And I've gotten to where I do a lot of customer service and a lot of design side of things, but I have a phenomenal team that's really backing everything up these days.
Well, I'm sure you've poured your knowledge into your team and training them in the way you've learned, and it just comes through on the plans and also working with the clients. So absolutely.
Yeah, we take a lot of pride in trying to get our team up to speed on doing a lot of things, and then we take some chances in doing things a little off the cuff. There's some new programs that are out. They're three-dimensional programs that we can help our clients envision how things go together. And nobody was really doing that well for a long time, and we took a chance to go into some software and some other programs that were able to help clients visualize and see what actually the house looks like before they actually move into it. Then there's a lot more that goes into it, because I think that's the interesting thing about the software and what we do these days is we all go see the Disney films, we see the animation on TV. You don't realize how hard that is to really put that together. So it takes a lot of time to kind of master that skill these days.
Yeah, just over the last 10 or 12 years that we've worked together, it started out where Larry and his team are always willing to typically sit down if they're working with a good builder and do an initial sketch so they could get an idea of what it's going to look like. And it's morphed into 3D technology, which we have a mutual client we're working with now in a beautiful home in the Monument area, and it's really neat to see that come together digitally as well. A lot of people out there have a hard time taking a two-dimensional drawing and understanding what it looks like in a three-dimensional world, and so the software is really a game changer for you.
Yeah, and we're continuing to develop that. One of the things, and I'm upping my skills because it takes some of this talent to do that, is when clients actually come in these days and we're working on a project, and I think you've seen that, Jason, that we've actually made their changes right there at the meeting and updated their plan, and they can see it in real time. So it's kind of a nice, easy experience for the clients. So it helps us to get through the design development phase, which is helping people to realize exactly what their dreams are. And then what we like to do also is, Colorado Springs is very much of a design build market. Yeah. And so we try to bring the building contractor in on those projects because they have a good firsthand knowledge of costs that go in place. And so we can design just about anything, and we have projects that are 18,000 square feet all the way down into less than 600 square feet.
Oh, wow.
And so we've got a wide gamut of things that we've worked on, but we're working for the client. It's their home, and that's what we want to design for.
If you had to guess, how many homes have you designed or structures over the 40 years?
We have a good working list of everything that we've done since we've started the company. We started 41 years ago. It'll be 41 years on April 15th. What an ironic date to start out.
Tax day.
And at the time, interest rates were, I think they were actually 18% for mortgages at the time.
Wow, see, so it's not so bad right now.
That's right. And so, we've kept track of that. And I think our Excel spreadsheet reads somewhere into the between 4,000 and 5,000 projects that have logged in. Not all houses. I mean, some of those could be just adding a dormers to somebody's house or doing some conceptual design, but we've been involved in about that many projects over the years.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Now, before we were talking here on the video, you were talking about a new design concept that you're reviving to help the affordability issue of housing here in Colorado Springs. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's something that I was looking at some things that I could do for my daughter and her husband because they're in the market and looking for something that they can get into that is affordable. And we're seeing a lot of apartments go around town, but nobody's really been able to kind of define affordability. And so one of the big questions is, and it still is a little bit in my mind, as what is that definition of affordability? And so at a current mayoral candidate forum that Habitat put on, the number of about 265 came out of 265,000 was that, and lower is what affordability is. And so as I was looking at some things for our Rocky Mountain Plan Company, which is, we're taking a lot of our designs that have been successful through the years and updating those to what the current market needs are. We were thumbing through some old plans, and there was a large production home contractor. They were actually nationwide building houses back in the 80s. And I was thumbing through looking at some of these old designs, and I came across a simple design that we were doing for them back in about 1985. And it was smaller housing, 900 square feet, single car garage, 1 bathroom, small kitchen. And I started looking at that and thinking about, well, another thing that got me into the business was a big influence on my life was Barry Berkus. And he was a very well-renowned architect for the 21st century. And I went to the Housing and Building Show in Las Vegas back about 1981. And they had built a model inside the convention center, which they have done homes inside the convention center before. But this was a house that was somewhat modular. It was smaller. It was so people could grow into housing as time went on. And they brought forth the concept because at that time the interest rates were 18%, and people in especially California were really struggling with how do we even get into the market. And so I kind of looked at this plan that we did for this national home builder and said, wow, if we took that plan, and the things that I've worked on in the past have been houses that have been built as modules, has been built as components, have been built as stick-built, have been built as pre-cut. And then also some of the things that I've done working with the Habitat for Humanity. I was on their construction advisory committee. And I said, well, what if we took that plan and we flipped it and made it into a duplex? And if you do that, then the new mandate by the governor having more incentives to do infill to where you can do ADA or ADU units, which are basically garages or they're separate dwelling units that can be on a property. Well, you could take that and put that onto a standard lot. And the Colorado Springs has recently taken and revised their zoning code dramatically. And what they have found out is back in about the 1920s, there came up with something that's called R1 6000 zone. Pretty common zone throughout the city. It means that it's residential use, single family home, and generally 6,000 square feet. So at that size of a lot for a single family house, if you put a duplex on it and you split it in half, you now have 2 dwelling units. If you take and put an ADU and access it through, say, an alleyway in the back, which you'll find in a lot of older neighborhoods that have done that, now you've taken the cost of land and reduced it. You've taken a look at how that building could be built as components or a number of different construction methods. And now you're beginning to bring the cost of bringing that house and being able to bring people into affordable housing, because somebody could get into the unit for less than $265. And after discussing some things with some of the larger builders of what it costs to develop land, that starts to make sense. I talked recently with one of the larger home builders, and they gave me some benchmark costs of what it's costing to build a house. So we applied some of those principles just on some square footage basis and the cost of ADUs, and you now have things that can work affordably. And so that's what kind of my goal is I sent forth an initiative to the Housing and Building Association to say, hey, if you're interested, we would be interested in helping that out, and start showing some of these ideas. And so I sent some information out to a number of people and clients in the community, and I've been getting good response. And so next, on April 14th, I'll be speaking to a group of people across the country in a morning coffee on just some ideas to help generate people thinking on how to do that. So when I brought these ideas up to one of the larger home builders, they said, you know, we were planning affordable housing, but at a much higher rate. This makes some sense to do that. And as I've been talking to people, there are a lot of things that can help strive to make the affordable housing start to work. We just need to start getting people involved, education, showing how these things can be done, and then a willingness of people wanting to actually do that. So I think that there are ways to make affordable housing happen in our community.
Well, here at Finch and Gable, we'd love to partner with you on anything we can. I also have a development team that we do small infill developments, and so I'd love to, talk about that in the future to see how we can adapt and build that. What we see when we're working with clients is that 300,000 mark and below even works. But 900 square feet, that's not a tiny home. That's most apartments, one-bedroom apartments are not even 900 square feet. So that's really a decent sized property. What we're seeing, the developers now building these 200 and 300 unit apartment complexes.
Yes.
And their cost per unit's 250 to 300,000, but then they're monopolizing the land
Right.
for larger corporations or hedge funds. So I would love to see the home ownership go back to someone that's just out of college, or someone that's a professional that wants to be able to own something, because it would be a perfect stepping stone, where they could then call you down the road, hey Larry, can you design me a house? I have built up equity in my first unit, because those stepping stones have seemed to kind of gone away.
Yes.
And when we were sitting down with builders ourselves talking, when we're working with clients talking about affordability, they're saying, well, these are going to be affordable. We're going to have them in the high 400s and low 500s. Well, that's really not affordable.
Right.
And I think what we're seeing is not unlike when interest rates were 18%, we're seeing the opposite of that, where home values have increased so much, the cost to purchase a home is high. The 5 to 6 and 6.5 interest rates aren't bad if the cost is down. So
Right.
It has the same effect. So thank you so much for meeting with us today. Is there anything else that you'd love our audience to know about LGA Studios, how to get in touch with you, or anything else?
LGA Studios is sometimes it's a little bit of a hidden market for us. We have been, as I've said, for 40 years we've been in business, and it has been, I would say, 99% just client referral. And so we've rarely ever marketed, so I've never really done a lot of these interviews. And so, we welcome people to give us a call. We're happy to look at, projects that they have. We generally have been busy for those 40 years, which has been kind of remarkable. We've kept a good team of people. I have one of the gals that works for me has been working with me now for over 30 years. And so we just really try to take care of clients, and that's really what our goal is.
People wanted to reach out to you. What's the best way to reach out to you, LGA Studios?
I think probably the best way to reach out to us is through our website, which is ljastudios.com. And from that, there's some links to some of our other companies that we're doing work with, our Rocky Mountain Plan Company. There's also a link to the Collaborative Design Group, which is also a group that I share with Mark Tremmel. Mark is also sharing our office space with the Tremmel Design Group. And, we just try to do great, sustainable, good architecture. We're client focused. And so that's probably the best way to do it. We've, in our 40 years, we really haven't marketed. And it's just been our last year, because our Colorado Springs market has been a lot of builder-driven referrals, that our website this year is actually catching a lot of traction with people that are coming in from all over the country. So that's probably the best way to catch us, is at our LGA Studios website.
All right. Well, Larry is a brilliant architect and yet humble, so he won't say that word, but I've seen it in action. He's very good with clients, and he's a very powerful thought leader in affordable housing moving forward, because it's not just an issue here locally, it's becoming a nationwide issue. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. Thanks for watching the video. Reach out to Larry, reach out to us if you have questions. We can put you in touch with Larry, but thanks for watching the video, and stay tuned, and we'll see what happens next.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Larry.
We hope to be doing some more stuff with you in the future.
Absolutely. All right.
All right.